Mitchell, I mean, not officially by the club, I don't think, but pretty much just called it quits. I mean, well, actually, it is. It's got 11 days left, so it's not really that big of a deal, is it?
I'm wondering if it's a bit mixed messaging in regards to has he stepped back from any dealings with the first team,
Mm.
but he's still looking for youth players, or don't forget he also looks after the female team as well. So is he still working in some capacity in that role, but he's just stepped back completely from first team players?
Mm.
Um, that's just a guess. If he has just left completely, then we do need to get somebody in pretty quick to again remembering the fact that there is another two element, well as the youth and the War Lasses team as well, which also need to be remembered in regards to the director of football role. As for Eddie, I don't think he can be solely in charge of bringing in players. As everybody said, you need that step between the manager and the CEO. You need someone who's got like a strategy for the club long term, and
Mm.
what type of players we want, the age of the players, profile of the players, things like that.
Well, the also the lack of CEO adds to it. I didn't mention it, but it adds to the not knowing what we're doing, where we're heading, kind of right now. To be honest, I know Darren Niels is there, but you can't help but to think that Darren Niels and Paul Mitchell, for different reasons, don't are not in the game right now.
But
So
surely going into this summer, we knew what was happening with Eels. They must have been kind of knew what was going to happen with
but
Mitchell.
but
Things should have been in place.
but that's the thing. We've known about Mitchell for how long? I think I don't even know when his diagnosis came out, but like very early in the season, if I'm not mistaken. I may be wrong. I can't remember really. But man, it's certainly a lot of time to be able to put somebody in place already. The last day of the season should have been Eels saying goodbye, and then this whole time off transition into the new CEO, so he can appoint the new DOF if we're gonna have one, and so on and so forth. But I mean, we can play this game that that we don't know anything, and the club will figure it out. But to be honest, what we see in front of us is not really hopeful as far as it's not how a business should be organized. If the season is about to start, which is the most important thing. It revolves around football, so everything should be almost in place. So we get into this. If we bring a DOF, he's not going to have input on the signings. So what are we going to say? The same thing we said about Mitchell, which we got to give him a year.
Yeah,
we got
we've got to give him another few months to get his legs under the table and his feet on the carpet before he actually gets involved in any transfer business.
Right.
But in the same situation as we was, as you've just rightfully said there, last year when Mitchell come on board, 11th hour and like didn't get involved in anything apart from the potential getting Mark Gay over the line. And again, if you listen to reports, what he was saying. They put down a 50 million bid and they didn't move from there. Every time Crystal Palace come back to us, the offer was still £50 million. It was never moved. Speculation saying that we put 60 million down. According to Mitchell, it never ever moved from the 50 because that's the price that they wanted to pay out for that player. And that's apparently is where he was alluding to that the actual transfer business isn't fit for purpose because it seems to be whatever price the clubs or the opponent clubs were putting down on these players, we're virtually willing to pay. And he says you can't do that in business. And again, different people read different parts of the lettering and come, 2 and 2 don't make 4 all the time with some people. So, like I said, for me, the lad, the one thing that gets me, right, he bought in the only person of any stature regarding a coach he's bought in, I believe, is Dermot O'Carroll for the under-21s. And now even he's left. So, for me, what this signifies to a lot of people out there, and I don't know you guys, your career paths or anything like that, the career path that I took, when you've got a rumble at the top, shit rolls downhill. And it does affect the business line if you ain't careful. If you haven't got somebody actually pulling the strings and keeping you on the straight and narrow. And I this is what I said to Win the other week, was that to me, we look at club to the outsiders, and if we're in trouble, not financially, but boardroom level, it looks like we haven't got a settled boardroom. And if you haven't got a settled boardroom, then things can collapse.
Well, it certainly looks that way. I mean, again, we don't really have a CEO, don't really have a DOF. Eddie Howe right now, in the saying that what's the saying, when the cat goes away, the mice will play, or something like that. Well, right now,
that comes across as a different meaning in the UK, though, Chris.
Well, but let me welcome Jamie. Jamie, how you been? All good?
Hey, good. Sorry I'm late. The old man wasn't very forthcoming with the joining message,
Oh man,
let's blame it on him.
He's got a bit of a crisis, apparently.
Yeah, but yeah, his bollocks dropped. So, but anyways,
losing his hair.
Yeah, Jamie, what do you think about? I mean, apparently Paul Mitchell is officially, not officially by the club, but pretty much everybody's saying it, that he is stepping away. He can't handle it anymore. So, I mean, now we got no CEO, no DOF. I don't know, man.
I think Mitchell stepping away now probably doesn't make much difference. Well, I think we I'd maybe prefer that than the whole lame duck effect, where he's going in conducting negotiations when he's not going to be here. But yeah, it's kind of what you said there, isn't it? It's never been settled at the top since day one, and I think the coach leaving, it's a better opportunity. The what's his name, Diarmuid Carroll, is it?
Diarmuid O'Carroll, yeah.
Yeah, and he's Sparta Prague are basically promoting him, aren't they? But what you've kind of got to hope is, and it doesn't seem likely with the pace that the PIF operate, is that when it comes down to serious business, because there's nobody there at the minute, everyone's on holiday, that something happens with Paul Mitchell last year, when before you know it, it was just announced out the blue, we've got this guy in as sporting director. And I think someone as chief executive as well, it's got to come down the line. Something's going to have to happen soon, because the transfer window's open, the real one. And the ideal, I think Eddie Howe was saying, getting people in early means getting somebody in for when they come back for pre-season on the 7th of July. And I don't think anyone would think we'd have that full structure in place by then, but some kind of progress would be nice.
Yeah. It's weird, because I don't want to be negative. I want to be critical, but we can only blame PIF, because PIF is the one that appoints CEOs. They should have had already a replacement, like Boki was saying. I don't understand what the holdup is with that. I mean, really, quite honestly, I thought Eels was going to stay because he never left. Although he said he was going to leave, I thought he'd just find a way to, deal with his illness and stay. But the fact that he's leaving, and you had all that time to find a CEO, which is probably, I know when we look at it in football terms, it isn't, but in reality, the CEO is the most important man in the building. So why we don't have one? It makes no sense to me.
That's the only thing. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's been months that we've all known about Darren Eales, his condition, and the fact that he said he was staying on board until the new CEO was up to speed. Now, what CEO? It seems as if we're still interviewing. We're virtually a year down the line now. And it seems as if they're still trying to work the right person out for the role. And again, that doesn't fill me with confidence. And it's not about what's happening in the transfer window regarding Newcastle. It's what's happening actually up, like I say, at boardroom level, that doesn't fill me with confidence. Yeah. Because if these guys are struggling to manage people, then what is actually going on? What is your role of this as a CEO? Is Darren Eales too soft? You know what I mean? Did he not? For me, as soon as Paul Mitchell air the dirty laundry, that should have been pulled over the coals to start with.
Don't forget to smash the like button. It helps us a lot to keep growing. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, activate all notifications, that way you get notified every time we go live. And don't forget, you can become a member, get exclusive content, access to all of our live shows on demand at the time that you want. Also, of course, giveaways every month, sometimes multiple giveaways a month. So stay tuned for that. Check it out. Help support the channel. It's a small fee. And of course, you help us and grow. If you hate the Mackhams, smash that like button.
To save the bleeding races. When we got the wheel put on, away we went again. But them that had their noses broke, they came back our him. Some went to the dispensary, and some to Dr. Gibbs's, and some to the infirmary.